Hey everyone, welcome to Thursday Therapy. I'm Mackintosh, the weight psych, and the question we're answering today is about when there's too much food around and lots of people offering it. Welcome to Thursday Therapy, where I answer your questions on the psychology of eating, movement, weight, and body image. Let's get into today's question, which comes from Gemma.
Hi Glenn, I'm Gemma. I'm a sports dietitian at Dietitian Without Borders. I love Thursday Therapy. Getting in the right mindset is so important for being able to make changes that are sustainable, and I love what you're doing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what to do when you're in an environment that is sabotaging you from achieving your goals. I work with some really motivated people and athletes and stuff, and a lot of the time they're in these environments, so particularly at work, where there are people around them that are feeders and are bringing biscuits and cakes in and stuff, and they don't mean to, but they're walking past it and they pick something up and they eat it sometimes a few times a day, and so this is undermining them from being able to achieve their goals, whatever it is. So I'd love to hear what you can recommend that I can be suggesting to them that help them stick with their resolve a bit more.
It's a great question, Gemma, and I love your outside video. That's really cool. And I also love that you're sharing TT with your clients. I think that dietitians and psychs, we've got to be best mates in this space, so it's really cool to hear that Thursday Therapy is getting out through you guys. As you know, we follow a non-dieting approach, and Gemma, I know you're familiar with this, so no foods are banned, but I think it's really important that we talk about this, because if you're constantly overeating foods just because they're there, or just because someone's offering, then that's not intuitive eating, and that's not going to be great for your overall health. I think it's really important that we talk about our environment. Researchers talk about an obesogenic environment. We're in a really weird time in human history, and it's the first time where we haven't hunted food, but food hunts us. And typically the food that's hunting us through consumer product advertising is very high calorie and quite low in nutrition. People often blame themselves for their weight gain, but the obesogenic environment is the single biggest contributor to the weight gain of the world. So while we can't control those macro environments that we're in, we can manage these micro environments that we're in the day-to-day. And I want you to think about three things in particular. The first thing that I want you to think about is just the availability of that high calorie, low nutrition food. So if it's not in your house, if it's not in your car, if it's not in your workplace, then it's going to be a lot easier to manage. Now, of course, this isn't always possible, but sometimes you might be surprised with how possible it is. You know, I'm a food psychologist. As you would expect, I do this really, really well, but I know right now there is ice cream in the freezer from doing tapping with a client, and just because it's there, I have to have a little mental battle in my head to not eat it if I don't want to, whereas if it's not there, there's no mental battle. So part of this is not about making foods bad or wrong, but just creating the environment where you can make great choices with low willpower. The second thing that I want you to think about is the visibility of the food. So now that I've brought it from the fridge to the bench, it's much more visible and it's much more tempting. So it really is a case of a lot of the time out of sight, out of mind, and you can use that mental trick to help you make better food choices. The third thing that I want you to think about is proximity. So now that the ice cream has moved from over here to right in front of me, it presents a bigger cue, and it takes more mental energy for me to say no to it. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about how you can transform your little environments in a way that's right for you. I'm not saying you have to necessarily get rid of all that food out of the house, or, you know, tell the kids that they can't eat any of these foods ever again. You've got to find a way of this working that's right for you, but I'm sure that with a little practice and a little creativity, you can definitely do it. For example, a little thing that I like to do is we have this lovely family routine where we will just get lollies while we're watching TV, and we'll just pass them and circulate them around each other and just continually eat them. So what I say to my family is, look guys, don't pass it to me. I know where it is and I sit in front of it, so I'm watching the TV so I can't see it, it's not close to me. And then if I have the thought, oh, I want a lolly or I want an ice cream or something, I just go up to where it is, probably near the couch, and I go and grab it and I come back down. So that's just an example of how that works and how you can make it work in a way that is right for you. Another idea that can be really helpful for you, and I really like this one because I prefer to be positive where possible, is to use the power of the environment to encourage you to eat more nutritiously and drink more nutritiously. So you can use that availability, visibility, and proximity for the power of good rather than evil. You can see I've been, drinking this water as we've been filming just because it's here. So doing something like putting the water glass there at work so you can drink more water can be really good. Another thing is that a lot of people that I've seen have done is have some fruit that goes along with the cakes and the biscuits and the chocolates at morning tea. And often, it's funny, a lot of people actually really want to have the fruit or the yogurt or the nuts or the more nutritious food when it's offered, because often that stuff goes first. So it's not necessarily that everyone always wants the cakes and everything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you might decide and you might be able to kind of push for some more nutritious food to go with the less nutritious food at those type of work events. Another thing that you might do that a lot of my clients have success with is, at those events, if you don't really necessarily want to eat those tempting foods for you at that time, just have like a cup of tea in one hand with the saucer in the other hand. That way you've got that very available, very visible, very proximal cue there, kind of acting like a barrier to that food that you don't want to eat at that time. As you're probably thinking, and this was part of your question, Gemma, something that can make this all a bit more challenging is people. We are all products of this environment, and therefore we don't necessarily all eat or drink that healthily, and we probably eat and drink less nutritiously when we get together. So let me give you a few thoughts on having some discussions with people and helping them get on board with supporting you. The first thing that I want you to think about is telling people what you're doing, but actually telling people a little bit about why you're doing it. A lot of us go on health kicks these days, and it's almost like this unstated expectation that people will be on a health kick and they'll be off a health kick. And sometimes if you're not that confident that you're going to succeed with your health kick, you kind of keep it to yourself. But I did my research in psychological and social factors in weight management, and the better your support from other people, the better you'll tend to do. So I'm a big fan of, in a way that's right for you and in a way that's right for the people around you, having those discussions about what you're doing and having them about why you're doing it as well. So for example, oh no, I don't want to eat that because I'm going on a health kick, is probably not as powerful. Someone's not going to get that as much as, every year my family does this fun run and I'm always the supporter, and I love supporting them, but the truth is I hate not being able to do it. That really sucks for me. So this year I've signed up. So can you support me by not offering me that stuff, because I've really got a goal and I really, really want to get there. I think that people actually love, and I see this all the time with my clients when they have these conversations, people love to be a part of something positive. They love to see you doing that fun run and go, yeah, I kind of helped that, or whatever it is that's important to you. And that's true whether you are an athlete, whether you're an amateur athlete, or whether you just want to be a fitter, healthier person. So I think tell people what you're doing, tell people a little bit about why you're doing it, and then also tell them exactly how they can help you, because people don't necessarily know how they can help. For example, a lot of people that I see, you know, they don't necessarily want a food policeman saying, oh, should you be eating that? They might just like someone to say, you know what, when I'm eating this food, when you're all eating this other different food, let's just not make it a big deal. So think about exactly how that person could best help, and give them the credit that if you tell them really the deep reason why you're doing it, that people love to be part of something positive and they'll jump on board. So guys, we talked about some different stuff today, but I really want you to consider your environment and consider whether having more availability, more visibility, more proximity of the more nutritious foods, and on the other hand, less availability, less visibility, and less proximity of the less nutritious foods could really help you eat healthier without investing so much effort and willpower into it. So as Gemma said, it is more sustainable over time. Guys, I don't know your exact situation, and there might be definitely some things from today that won't necessarily work for you, but I would really encourage you to get creative and to experiment with some of these things, because often you will be surprised, and changing around that physical environment can be totally transformational. It's not the whole puzzle, but it can be a very important piece of the puzzle in your long-term success. The same with your conversations with people. I don't know everyone around you, and there's no guarantees that these ideas will work with every person, but I think if you take the principles, I think you'll really find that they really, really benefit you. So thanks again to Gemma from Dietitians Without Borders for your question. Gemma is a dietitian, a sports nutritionist, a cyclist, a triathlete, and who I really appreciate is very interested in the non-dieting space. So if you're a bit of a fitter, healthier, sportier person, or you could see yourself being one of those people in the future, make sure you follow Gemma. Gemma, again, thanks for your question, and thank you all for being part of another Thursday Therapy, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. You didn't get your tea because it wasn't proximal enough for you, and I drank all my water. This is the first Thursday Therapy I've ever done without coffee. Why? Because the coffee is up there. It's not visible, it's not proximal. As you guys know, there is no problem at all with coffee, but I decided I didn't want to start my day with a coffee. So how cool is that? Listen to me.